Yo, what's up, guys? I think I am gonna do a live stream today. Just wanted to wish everyone a happy holiday. I'm not sure what you guys are celebrating right now. Yeah, so I just got back from a couple of days spending at home with the family, and I just wanted to come by and say hello. Last time I think we had a little bit of a kind of a live coding session during one of these live streams. So if you want me to build out anything, maybe something that's complicated or something that you don't know how it works, please let me know. So here's my stream that I'm looking at. I've been also getting into some Twitch gaming, streaming, and doing a few games on Twitch. I don't know if you guys are super interested in me like playing video games, but maybe I'll let you guys know whenever the next time I stream myself gaming. You know, sometimes I obviously don't code 24/7, so playing video games is a nice little bit of a respite from coding and looking at code and reading blog posts on how to code. So yeah. Oh, okay. So hello to everyone out there. Hopefully you guys have, had some nice days or nice couple of useful days with the family. Let me know what you guys had for Thanksgiving dinner that was, different from the ordinary turkey dinner, stuffing, and yams, which we all had pretty much. What kind of food did you guys enjoy over the couple of holiday days? Problem with the sound? I don't know if there's a problem with the sound, but let me know. So went to a wedding, basic Chinese family, had some chicken. Anything else? I'm curious, how old are you? Well, if you guys want to guess my age on the chat, let me know in the chat. The person that gets closest gets 1 point. You do have to factor in the Asianness. You know, Asian people tend to be a little younger looking than normal in their 20s to 40s, and then after that they fall down a cliff. They start to look like 60 years old when they're after 40, 45ish. Okay, we have one correct answer, roughly one or two, and 29, 30. So the hint is I'm no longer in my 20s. I'm actually in my mid 30s. And looks like everyone is close to that in terms of the guessing. Yeah, 34, 35, whatever age range that is. Yeah. You guys want to hear my history or my working history and how I started getting into programming and how young I was and how many years I've been doing this? It's always like a little interesting to hear someone's story, but I think I told you guys before how I got started and all that good stuff. Yeah, just let me know what kind of questions you guys want to know about how I got into like programming and what I started and how I kind of thought about it in the beginning. Like when I was first starting out, I was doing a lot of photoshopping, and then I got into animations, and I was wondering like how can you actually program animations, and then I got into programming. Started school, community college for a couple of years, and learned how to do your sorts. Hey Omer, learn how to do bubble sort and what other sorts are there? Binary sort. Learn about arrays, memory allocation, how to write some simple algorithms, and then learn about O of N, big O notation, and then that's kind of how I got started. Pretty standard, right? Like how did you guys get started in terms of, you know, being exposed to programming? I was about like 18, 19 years old when I got started in it. So, you know, Aurelian's but Eric. Is this a normal delay? Yeah. I'm still trying to fix a couple of things on the actual video capture side of things and the stream. But for the most part, I think things are okay. So Laurentia Bancilla asks, how many hours do I work in one day? It really depends. I think working itself is a relative term. Like, I don't really consider doing this work. It's kind of work, you know, but I put in about 10 to 12 hours a day. If you're a programmer, like 10 to 12 hours is pretty typical. If you're going into like a programming job expecting to work like 6-7 hours, you'll be in for like a rude awakening for the first couple of years, because you do have to spend a lot of time, especially when it's like writing code and figuring out all the bugs and just getting used to the system overall. So Amre says, "Hey Brian, you had better to take Swift style guide for us." I think the style guide for Swift, I just mostly follow what I learned from maybe like a lot of Java docs. So I do a lot of things that are very, very conventional. So what I mean is, you know, whatever Apple decides to write their own little code projects, you just want to look at that and follow what they do. That's kind of what I do too. Please continue the animation series. I don't know exactly which animation series you are referring to. There are a couple. I think I have the application on like the blurring app. And so for those of you guys that don't know, we're building out the Twitter, or not the Twitter, but the Tinder app right now. I'm currently finishing up on the rest of these videos here. We have a lot of the UI built out, so you know we can swipe on these cards. We're using a Firestore, and that allows us to kind of get the pagination for this going. So we're going to paginate for more data using this little button down here. And there we go. So if you're interested in checking that out, make sure to do that. And I guess I gotta wrap up on this course and then start producing more of the YouTube videos. You know, hopefully I'll get around to doing more things on the YouTube channel for the month of December. Okay, so here's another question by DS123. Why iOS and why not web dev? To be honest, I don't really know the answer to that. I enjoy doing web dev a lot. iOS is a lot of fun too. Android is also one of my interests, and then backend is what I also really like digging my hands into. So there's really no preference, but in terms of preference on the YouTube channel, I think it's a lot easier to create interesting iOS content that no one else is creating. So you know, that's kind of why I've done the iOS route. James Ryu says, Realm course intermediate level. I'm not sure if I would recommend Realm. Realm seems to be a very niche backend. It's a good service. And if you want to have like, I don't know if Realm's like expensive or not, but maybe. Is the Tinder course made in MVVM? So we have a couple of pages using MVVM. So the registration page and the cards that are being drawn out Like for example, these cards right here are using a card view model object to represent some of the data. Not everything is MVVM because that would take, I don't know, way too many videos to actually like build out the process and go through when and where and how you use MVVM. But I think a lot of, if you're curious about how MVVM works, the Tinder course will kind of show you some of the reasons why you would use MVVM, and also like why the reactive programming approach works. So this course also goes through a little bit of reactive programming. So for anyone that's interested, oh man. News says, "Hi Brian, I love your new Tinder course. Thank you very much. Every dollar to invest in your course is gold value." I do agree. Yeah, originally for that course, I had wanted to make about like 20 to 25 lessons for that course, but now it's up to, I don't know, 36, 37, or maybe like 38, 39. So yeah, just putting a little bit more effort into doing some things differently in that course, I found to be more enjoyable. Sometimes I do feel like I focus a little bit too much on UI, and while the UI is interesting, the problem with the UI is like it takes a long time to build out, and you know, it's not always the most interesting thing to build UI. But yeah, hopefully everyone's been able to like take away something from all of the programmatic approaches of just putting the apps together. I think it's a good learning process. All right, today we have 132 people in the stream, so that looks good. Let me try to drag some things out of the way here. Yeah. Bach Marama says, "Thank you. You have amazing skills and easy to understand. Keep it up." Well, thank you. I feel like in terms of skills, if I were to rank myself with other programmers, I think I'm probably just in the middle of the pack. I'm not extremely great at programming, but I certainly know my way around finding the solutions that I need to find, and that's basically how programming works. A lot of the programmers and engineers that I've worked with, they're like extremely creative with the solutions that they come up with, and working with those types of like mindsets, you really get to like pick their brains and get a lot from your colleagues. Edwin Paz Aparicio with 1,000 CLPs. I'm kind of curious what a CLP is and how that amounts to $1. So to USD. Ooh, these are Chilean pesos. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you for the 1,000 pesos. I really appreciate the support. So yeah, one thing I do want to say now that everyone's inside the chat is just thank you for sticking with the channel for so long. I know that we started from obviously 0 subscribers, 0 views, 0 watch time, and just right now over the last 3 years, yeah, it's been 3 years, quite a while. And I've been doing this for a little too long. I'm not really sure how much longer I can do this for, but it's been a fun ride for the last 3 years. And yeah, we'll see what next year brings. I'll still be doing this for the next like year and 2 at least. I won't be going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, just thanks for the support. Like, I've been reached out by a lot of different companies. Yeah, a lot of different companies have reached out, and I've gone through a lot of interviews, and I've interviewed a lot of companies to see what they're doing, and if I ever wanted to change and start going back into full time, That would be a fun thing for me to do as well. The only thing is I don't exactly want to work for anyone else right now. That's why I like doing this so much, because I'm kind of working for every one of you guys. And yeah, like it's just so much easier to work full time, and the pay is really good. So trying to either build something on your own or just work full time and code 8 hours a day, and is a good alternative. So Cyril Garcia says, please keep the Android tutorial free. Yeah. Whenever you kind of have to think about what the free material is going to provide you. So there's an obvious difference between the free stuff that I put on the channel and the premium stuff on the website. I actually put in like a lot more effort on the premium stuff. So if you just pay for the premium things, you actually learn a lot more. So there's a difference. There's definitely pros and cons to both processes. Amre says, are you thinking to teach XC test lessons for us? I am going to try. Testing is always a different beast, just in terms of how to tackle it and how to teach it. And because testing's over here and the actual application development's over here, and they're really, really like separated from each other in the beginning, so it's hard to make that relation as to like why you'd want to build out the testing in the first place. And then in order to build out a solid test framework for your app, you have to really understand what your application is doing in the first place, and all of the like separate functionalities that you want to test, you would have to include into your testing suite. And that's not easy. It's not easy, and also I don't think it's a fun. It's not the most fun thing that I've done in the past. Oh, so Yusuf Mustafa asks, could you recommend some books for intermediate level? I think the intermediate level books are probably going to come from, I guess the Objective-C IO guys are pretty intermediate. I think the Ray Wenderlich books are okay. So here's one thing that I would say about the Ray Wenderlich books that are kind of a negative on their side, and like they do a really good job, right? But the reason why Ray Wenderlich books they do really well is because they're very general and they're meant for the general audience. So I think they go over way too much, and that's their target demographic. They want to cover everything so that the wider net, the bigger the net that they cast, the more people will get introduced to Swift. And so the problem to that is they don't really dive deep into more specifics. So if you want to get something more specific, you would have to go to things like maybe Hacking with Swift by, was it Two Straws? John Hudson, or I can't remember his name. Maybe was it Sundell? John Sundell? Can't remember his name either. I think I just remember the last names. And the Objective-C IO guys, yeah. So they do a lot of good things. T-Way says, even though Brian doubled his paid course price. Well, I didn't double the course prices. I have raised the course prices a little bit just due to like things like inflation here. The Bay Area is pretty expensive, and kind of like I was saying, keeping the prices competitive makes it more of an incentive for me to keep doing this. because it's like, I there are people that are going to try to sway me away from doing this. That's what happened in the past. Yeah, Paul Hudson, not John Hudson or Jeff Hudson. Yeah. Have you guys watched some of Paul's YouTube videos? That guy's really, really good at giving presentations. I remember going to not the WWDC, but the conference right next door to WWDC, and I gave a 1 hour talk. I was really nervous when I stood up there and gave my talk. It's actually online if you guys wanted to watch it. I'm not going to provide you the link right here, but it's really hard to go up there and give a speech for 1 hour and remain like engaging. Edwin Paz says Patreon. I don't think I'll ever create a Patreon account, and the reason is because, so I think Patreon, for me at least, my breakdown of Patreon and what that service is yet another way to, like, you need to provide content for Patreon subscribers, and it's hard for me to like get another service going and provide content on another platform. So that's the reason why I haven't really committed to a Patreon. And I really wouldn't want to have people be subscribers to my Patreon account without me providing anything back. So I always feel like I don't really want to take donations from people because I feel guilty for not providing anything worth value back. Swift over Coffee with John and Sean. John and Sean have a podcast. I thought Sean was doing it with Paul Hudson. Sean Allen. John Sindel, I know he has a podcast. I think he just released it, and I think it's going pretty well. So great job from both of those guys. I believe prior to this year, the only Swift podcast that was available was the Ray Wenderlich one. And the Ray Wenderlich guys, I think they do a really fantastic job at their podcast. I guess one thing I'll say about the new season of Ray Wenderlich's podcast is that the host for the Ray Wenderlich podcast has changed. So originally it was by like two guys from the original Ray Wenderlich team, and now they switched the host. And I guess I'm just not used to the new host. I kind of liked the old host better. But yeah, maybe the new host will grow on me. I listened to the last Ray Wenderlich podcast on the algorithms, and it was interesting. Interesting. A GPS app, like a Uber like app. Yeah. One reason why I haven't done a GPS app is because trying to simulate GPS locations it's not that it's hard, but it's not fun to simulate the different GPS locations, then try to get the recording going. So Mark Alpon says you have amazing presentation skills yourself. I like to keep things very off of me. So sometimes you'll see that the video captures just this little small window. Not exactly a camera person. I prefer to be behind the scenes. But trying to find the right talent to present the material is hard. That kind of forces me to be on camera. Do I have any thoughts on Flutter? Not really. I mean, you have to really... yeah. I guess for these types of questions, people should ask more specific questions. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about, and you have to be more specific about things for me to actually give an intelligent answer about it. Idiots who... Okay, so Abe Benar says, idiots who retract from our intelligence as a species get donations, so you should too. Yeah. I guess idiots are entertaining in different ways. You can't really discount the idiots from the society. Since industry isn't hiring entry-level iOS developers, what do you suggest someone who's trying to go into iOS? I guess for me, getting hired, like having gone through the hiring process, I have an understanding of how easy it is. And that might sound like arrogant. It doesn't sound arrogant, but the hiring process is like really easy because you can break it down into very easy, accomplishable steps. What you want to do is you want to build a portfolio of some interesting projects, go to some meetups in the San Francisco area, talk to some companies, and then once you do that for at least like 6 months, you'll eventually land into a couple of interviews that you'll get if you're good. And the other important part is that you're somewhat sociable, because a lot of these engineering companies, they're actually looking for people that can that can collaborate in a team where the engineers and programmers are productive. And in a lot of engineering organizations, the reason why sometimes engineers will like fight amongst each other, and a lot of people are like somewhat passive aggressive as well. And I guess furthermore, engineers become somewhat defensive about their code, and they might become even aggressive towards your programming style. And so being sociable and being able to collaborate without like hurting everyone's feelings, and not having to worry about stepping on each other's toes, being able to do that is something that after a while, like after a team grows to maybe like 20 to 30 engineers, you want to hire people that are not only intelligent and smart and can pull the programming together. You also want to hire people that are not going to ruin the engineering culture. And so depending on the phase depending on the phase of the company, then like it doesn't hurt to be very sociable and not socially awkward. So if you have some good projects in your portfolio, in your bag, and if you are able to just intelligently speak upon how to put applications together, and then you'll have to keep on growing as an engineer. Like you really have to present yourself as someone that's willing to learn the technology stack of the company that you're applying to. And it never hurts to learn like backend. Max Codes, good to see you again. Doing a lot of web work for RN, so React Native RN. Is that what RN stands for in this scenario? So Edwin says, currently at my company we are growing, and I feel somehow insecure about. Okay, so currently at my company we're growing, and I feel somehow insecure because most of the responsibilities are being delegated, and that's why I get a high salary. It's really ironic how when you're an engineer and you start coding, right? In general, when you get hired as like a programmer, you program like 8 hours a day, and then the irony comes in where you get promoted into a senior position. You still code a lot, but you code less compared to how much code you used to do. You get bumped up one more to like some kind of manager, and then what you're doing now is you're just telling the senior engineers what to build. The senior engineers tell the lower level people how like what to actually code, and then you end up doing very little, and your day is spent mostly on like Jira or Trello and managing these boards of tasks. Yeah. RN, Max is not a registered nurse. I'm not sure. He can actually pull off the registered nurse look if you check out his Instagram account at Max Codes. He does. If he dressed up in those scrubs, if Max you put on scrubs, you would look like one of those those ER doctors on the show ER, like a George Clooney type. So true. I've been leading a few devs, and I'm getting paid more to do less. Yeah. As you get trained, you have like skills that aren't really trainable anymore, then you'll get paid more to actually provide the training. They say as a developer we must write understanding code for every developer, but you don't use auto layout, so you write too much code for UI, and sometimes I lost myself on your projects. So there's a big difference between like writing understandable code and writing UI code. UI code, like, you just have to kind of get used to it. And if you think about it, right, you think about web pages and how they're built out using divs and HTML tags, then you'll kind of get to understand that most of the web is built on top of code. Yeah. A lot of the more experienced developers will tend to write their UI in code because they're so much more flexible. And if you don't really need the flexibility, then go for the WYSIWYG tool, the interface builder tool. Either way works. So Edwin says, I learned here how to stop using storyboards. It's helped me, and it's actually better in the long run. Yeah, so the couple of metaphors that I came up earlier this morning for this debate that I always think about, programmatic versus storyboard, is that telling someone to use, or telling an experienced developer to use the storyboard is like telling a chef to cook only with like a knife, or to cook only with one pan. You can't expect the chef to make everything that he knows how to make with just the pan, right? There's a lot of tools that he's missing out on. So if you don't know the programmatic approach, then you don't know the entire tool set that's available to you. So that's the kind of metaphor that I like to give. Have I done more server-side Swift? So I haven't done any type of server-side Swifting besides the couple of Vapor tutorials that I went over last year. I can't exactly say that I enjoyed going over Vapor, but I think it's changed in the latest couple of versions. So I'll have to give it a try again. If the current Swift syntax, or if the current server-side Swift experience has changed for the better, then I'm considering doing maybe like a premium paid course on Swift server side, or even just like a quick 5 episodes on how to set up Swift on maybe Heroku. I think they support it right now. So we'll see how that goes. Is Google Android certificate worth it? To me, no, because I've never heard of the Android certificate. But if the companies that you're applying for are requiring that type of thing, then I would say go for it. Yeah. How would you recommend designing a messenger from the ground up? WebSockets, probably, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Yeah. Ruby is the most elegant, in my opinion, says Mohammed. So Ruby on Rails is what I assume you mean. I can't say I like. Yeah, Ruby on Rails is okay. We used that at Touch of Modern, and it was okay. It allows you to write some really strange code, so that's one downside of Ruby. And the best programming language, I guess I'll give you a couple of different rankings to the programming languages that I like. So for me, I think JavaScript is one of the most like fun and powerful and wide-reaching languages that you can learn, because the web is so expansive and it touches everyone's like daily activities. So I think JavaScript to me is one of the best ones. And then when it comes to mobile, if I had to choose mobile, I think Swift is one of the better ones. I think Kotlin and Swift are both like equal. They both have their pros and cons, but I think in terms of how fun they are to write, like Kotlin's a little more fun since I haven't done it as much. So I think if I were to choose if I can build an Android app versus an iPhone app, like regardless of pay, I would probably choose writing in Kotlin since it's more new to me. Yeah. And then for a server-side language, so I see some Python or Golang. Yeah, I think Python or Golang is better than Ruby. And just in terms of the job market, you probably would find more jobs knowing Python. I would think so. Because it seems like Django is a big framework. Kotlin was copied good stuff from Swift. I'm not sure if Kotlin copied Swift or Swift copied Kotlin, because Kotlin was in development for quite some time. And anything that Kotlin has that might seem like a copy of Swift, like let's say optionals. Optionals were a thing way before Swift was ever even in its like conception. So I'm not exactly sure what people are referring to when they say Kotlin copied Swift. Like Swift copied a lot of things from other languages. Yeah. And again, I'm really language agnostic. I don't have a side. I don't have like a specific language that I really side with. And I don't think I've ever been that way. So Ignacio says, you are amazing. Do you have an example to upgrade data on the server? What is the best architecture to do that? That's really hard to say. That's a really tough question to answer. And I guess in terms of data migration, like I don't even know what upgrading data on the server really means. As a contractor, what is your approach about finding clients? Is it from YouTube or cold calling? For me, I have a lot of different people approach me about projects, and I think I've accepted, I think maybe 3 or 4 different projects over, I would say maybe like 5 different projects, and they're okay. And I don't really do cold calling, but having a platform on YouTube means that people are more aware of you. If you want to find, or if you want people to find you, then I suggest either starting a blog or starting some kind of like social platform somewhere. If you know C language, you can program on any language, says Edwin. Yeah, the first like official language that I learned was C, and I think C is relatively harder compared to things like JavaScript. Basically, it really boils down to if you know how to do a for loop, if you know how to use an array, then you should be able to get through most of programming. Right. The rest of programming is really available on the web. And like, to be honest, you don't even need school to do much anymore. The only thing that school should teach you really is like how to reach out to Google so that you can find the answer to your question the fastest. That's what school should focus on now. Like if you think about like from grades 1 to 8 or 1 to 12, they don't even teach you how to Google things until maybe you're in high school. And I guess nowadays it's different. When you do book reports, you had better know how to Google things. Jeanette Khan says, I'm struggling with UI for every screen size, i.e. phone and iPads. I purchased your Instagram and podcast course. I think building screens, building the UI for different screens such as the iPhone and iPad is quite complicated actually. In the past, what I've had to do was for certain different like controllers, there's a lot of like if checking. And as long as you provide different types of cells for iPad and iPhone, then yeah, you have to think about the UI in terms of the cell layout that you use. And if it's an iPhone or iPad device, you have to check that and then make sure you DQ the correct cells. That's my best answer that I can give you. So Kamal Ekman says, "Hi Brian, are you planning to discount your Tinder course according to Black Friday thing?" I haven't really been able to like work on any type of promotion sale on the letsbuildthatapp.com platform. So currently I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll get something out for Cyber Monday, but no guarantees on anything that I can do. So true. School has a lot of benefits, but if your goal is to be a software dev, school isn't too big of a deal. Yeah, I agree. I think in the schools they should really teach you how to Google, or how to first they should start off with like very simple programming concepts, and then they should slowly advance you into ones that you are not going to be able to solve. And then once you kind of find yourself using Google to actually get your solutions, that's where most of programming happens, or most of how you learn programming. Like you find good blog posts, find good mentors online, and find just good coding examples. That's how it works. But you meet people at school, which helps get jobs. I'm not very outgoing, so it can be a challenge meeting people anywhere else. So for me, like I've never really been able to network in school either. And I don't think I've ever used a school contact to help me get a job. I think for other people that's happened definitely. But like a lot of people would say, okay, networking is a big part of why you actually pay for college, but I think that's a extremely steep cost for going to school, just to network with people that might have a very small chance of like landing you a job interview somewhere. Seems to be expensive, to me at least. So I'm not intentionally skipping people's questions. I'm just trying to get to the ones that are most prominent on the chat here. Ignacio says, "What is the best way to upload plain data and files to the server?" I do not have idea what kind of architecture, because I've tried, but the data has been duplicated. It's a hard question to give an answer to right now. So my server is most of the data on my server for the letsbuildthatapp.com website. Just all that data is hosted on like separate services like AWS. There's a database somewhere else. There's local files on the actual servers. So I keep all of the data on like redundant servers. So I don't manage the data anywhere myself. They're all being managed by an external service like Amazon. If you try to follow that approach, then I think the data becomes much more easier to understand. Let's see what Max is saying. "My school put me on probation and have registration holds if I didn't remove my algorithms and data structure class code repo down. But then in the real world, you clone a ton of repos." So, Max, that's very unfortunate that the school has gone to those measures to prevent their curriculum from being exposed. Not exposed in a bad way, just being exposed to the free world. I think that happens because they have to, that kind of happens for the courses that I sell on the website also. Like, I mean, I would appreciate if no one shared any of the code, but I know people share the code, they share the projects, they share a lot of stuff. And yeah, it's understandable. School is expensive, it's ridiculous, and they're businesses in disguises. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos on just schooling in general. Just a lot of YouTube videos on why education is kind of a big waste of taxpayers' money, a waste of loan money, and it's just a waste in general. So I can go into a whole talk about why school is not the best thing to do, but probably out of scope for the live stream today. Max goes to content like Brian's is great because it's not overpriced. Most of it is free. Yeah. Yeah. I think the more free content that we can provide especially by people that are just like really interested in teaching. You know, whenever you go to school, you probably meet professors that are not in it for teaching, which is disappointing. All right, Armory. Good to see you. And yeah, thanks for stopping by and thanks for supporting the channel. So Searchlight says, had to leave college around the 4th semester. I learned coding back then, and nowadays I managed to get a position as an iOS app dev by March of next year. Thanks for all the knowledge that you've started. So good on you, Searchlight. Again, another ironic. The irony of college is that most of us that are out of college not realize that we know better, that school was definitely not as useful as everyone had promised back in the day. The course link is not working for Tinder. Yeah, let me fix the link right now. So let's see. So here is the link right here. So here's the course link. You can watch the course demo, and hopefully I can show some of this stuff. So let me go here, and I have to, I guess, fix the live dashboard. And yes, okay. Whenever the change for the link is going to show up, you might have to refresh the stream, but the link is here if anyone wants to check it out. I just typed it out in the chat. Okay, so Max Code says, have you read Crushing by Gary Vee? He talks a lot about providing free quality content. So obviously Gary Vee is like a very inspirational. I've watched a lot of his videos. I'm not exactly a fan of Gary Vee. After you watch him for, you know, a couple of weeks or a couple of months, it becomes kind of repetitive, and it feels very fluffy after a while. But yeah, the idea of providing free quality content is really nothing new to the world of, I guess, blog posts or just building businesses in general. And, you know, a lot of people tout the idea of providing 90% of your content for free, and then just charge people 10% for the premium content. And that funnel right there, that 90 to 10 funnel is more than enough to cover for what you're trying to build. So as long as you're able to build an audience, that's more important than like what you think you provide for free and this percentage split thing. Gary Vee says a lot of the same things over and over again. Yeah. Gary is a personality. I find that any type of personality that you find online is like really cringy after a while. For example, there's this guy on simpleprogrammer.com, John Zomnez. He's become so cringy over the last year or two. And that's just in general. If you're a personality and if you're an inspirational speaker, you run out of things to say after, you know, a couple of months, and you just become this super cringy meme after a while. Like if you look at Tony Robbins, he's super cringy too. John Zomnez bulldog mindset. Yeah, it's extremely strange. I guess we'll just talk shit about John Zomnez for the next half hour. Yeah, I actually bought like John Zomnez's basic programmer mindset book, whatever that book was called, and I listened through the entire thing. I feel like he had a lot of interesting things to say, but now he's like doing a lot of fluff stuff, and he's yeah, it's really strange. He's become this like this alpha dog guy, and no longer a programmer, but he still acts like a programmer. So it's I'm not sure what he's really doing. I think his stuff is good, but it's going in a strange direction. It's very strange. I think the problem that John is experiencing right now is like he no longer has a direction really. Yeah. Sometimes I just go into John Somnez's channel just to lurk around and see what he's doing. I think his rebrand is death. Oh man, the rebranding is so weird. And the strangest thing about John's channel is that he decided to bring back Simple Programmer, but on a separate channel. On a separate channel where he should have just used the Simple Programmer channel to keep it as Simple Programmer and then build the other brand on a separate channel, right? That's what the logical thing would be to do. But he decided to do the other way around, which is like, I guess it doesn't really matter anyway, since subscriber count is so meaningless nowadays. Have you read Rational Mail? John Somnez promoted that book like crazy, but there's a lot of shit on there I can't agree with. Yeah. Yeah. It's just weird. I guess the last thing I'll say about John Somnez is that he's just all over the place. So he's very scattered. And it doesn't even look like he believes in what he's doing anymore. Which is fun. It's a fun place to be. Just watching someone like go off the rails. Yeah, I don't really do tweaks or jailbreaks, but yeah. Create a Firebase video with a reminder page, please. Maybe. Also make a Discord group. I've been getting into Discord a little more lately. Let me know if you guys want an actual Discord group for either I guess I can't really manage a Discord group for everyone on the YouTube channel. 100,000 people is just a little bit too much. Like even getting 100 people in a Discord chat group would be insane. So I might create little small Discord groups for the people that have like I might separate the Discord groups into the courses that people have purchased. So maybe like 6 or 7 different groups right now. Yeah, that might be a little hard to manage. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to provide better support for people. It's a tough thing. Tough. Start a Patreon and let those folks add into the Discord. But how would I actually provide support for the Discord group? It's tough trying to manage all this stuff. That's like the number one top complaint that I always give. It's hard to do like 10 different things at the same time. Your review on ASP.NET Core versus Node. I don't know ASP.NET that well, so I would say learn Node, I guess. I have a question. I saw some Flutter tutorials by you and a client actually requested an app done by Flutter. Do you think Flutter has potential or just a bubble like other cross platforms? You will have to build your app in Flutter and you will have to tell us how that goes, because it is the wild, wild west for the Flutter programming language right now, which is fun. It's always great to experience with new experimental tools. Can you explain the application of running VMs, pros and cons? I don't know. Like, you run VMs because your system doesn't support the environment that you need, right? So there's really no pros and cons. It's just you have to do what you gotta do. Okay, so Diego Bustamante asks, what is the future of Swift? I think the future of Swift is growing like quite a bit, and if you are able to pick up Swift now, then you'll definitely further your employment opportunities in the future. And I think my brother was telling me about how Swift is currently one of the top 2 languages that are recommended to learn in terms of programming. So if you want to get a job that's high paying right now, then Swift is a pretty safe bet. Step counter in Swift, no video has been made yet. Please make a video on this. I don't know. I don't know how to make a step counter, really. How can I disable the bar button items which are inside the home controller? I want to access them in our card view. How do I disable the bar button items which are inside the home controller? Well, GG, I don't know what you mean by disabling them. You can remove them from the UI of the home controller. So I think you're referring to one of these buttons up here, maybe? Is that what we're talking about? And here's a card view here. So they're just really buttons. If you don't want to disable them, just use enabled is enabled equals to false. That would disable them. Do you think you're gonna make a tutorial on Swipe using Swift and Firebase? I think I'll make a tutorial on Swift and Node.js and then Stripe all in one. I'll probably omit the Firebase side of things because trying to interact with Stripe, which is a credit card payment processing platform, trying to do that in Firebase, which is a server-side-esque tool, like, it's not really a server that you can build on Firebase. That's why making a server that interacts with Stripe is difficult. Like, you might want to, yeah, you'll still need a Node server somewhere in between. Are there any databases that you can recommend fast, cheap, and smooth? I think so. Joe K. Any type of like Firebase or Realm or a SaaS server is fast and it's cheap, or maybe it's not cheap, but it's relatively smooth. I would say if you know how to build a Node.js server, go with Node.js and host a server on Heroku. I currently do something very similar, and I pay $25 or maybe $35 to host it per month. And yeah, $35 is just really, really cheap. Yeah, so it is enabled equals to false. You can disable your buttons that way, or just totally hide them from the UI. So how can you access this property inside of your card view? So that's a trickier thing to do. I think I might go over something later on in the course that goes over how to access outside objects from within the card view. You just have to set up a link, like a variable delegation link. That really does work for you. IoT tech, haven't really considered that. Do you think employment in the industry is slowing? Most small companies only have 1 or 2 mobile devs, And it's been my experience that jobs are getting scarce in my country, Canada, at least. I think, yeah, I've talked to a couple of Canadian software, or a couple of Canadians trying to get into software. It seems like it's not as easy compared to the Bay Area, but I'm not like exactly sure how hard it is. But mobile development jobs, I find that they're not becoming more scarce. It's just that it's not as it's not the hot topic as it used to be, and that's just a cycle of things. Like, for example, right now, if you talk about machine learning and even the most recent things like Bitcoin, they are slowly phasing out. So Bitcoin is no longer as popular as it used to be. Machine learning will also go away. Big data has kind of died down a little bit. It used to be a lot more popular, just in terms of people interested in learning it. And mobile dev will kind of die down a little bit more, and then it'll come back. So just a cycle like any other good technology. GJ asked, because I made the card views zoomable, so they overlap the whole navigation bar. My problem was the bar button items. Yeah. I'm not sure if you've changed the entire approach to laying out the cards, but if you have a navigation bar, then you can't really, like, the reason why we don't really have a navigation bar in this app right now, like the buttons up there are not a real nav bar, is because we have to make sure the card goes over it like that. But yeah, yeah, maybe you can send me an email at support, and then I'll look into your specific use case. Am I planning on doing some apps for the Apple Watch? That would be great to see. Ray Wonder sent out a really long email a while back about how they discontinued their Apple Watch series because not a lot of people were watching their Apple Watch material. So that really gives me some hesitation on whether or not I should actually do Apple Watch courses. Like, I would like to. I actually have never programmed an Apple Watch app, so it would be interesting to learn how to make an Apple Watch app. I personally don't own an Apple Watch, so I'm kind of hesitant on pulling the trigger on Apple Watch material. Just because there's so much more, so many other things to do right now. Could you give me directions on how to bind a bouncy table view on a top view? I don't know. What is this? Yeah, I guess I currently don't have the app up on this thing. Where are you? Yeah, maybe there's that. I have so many similars and so many apps that it gets really crazy trying to just figure out where the apps are. Yeah, so there's this one where you can, drag down this thing, and then the image stretches with it. These things are always really hard to build. It seems like it's really easy, but it's not that easy. Angel Hernandez says, hey Brian, can you build an advanced tutorial for React? React.js? Maybe. I would actually have to do more research on React.js because I know how to use it for my own website, but there's actually a lot of what I would call best practices for React.js that I'm not totally aware of. So if I ever build a React.js course, then it would be somewhat general, and I wouldn't be as like in depth with the concepts. But seriously, I learned anchors from you really well and was impressed in the architecture when you did them programmatically. Can you do a video on architecture best practices of iOS in general? Probably not. So whenever someone mentions like something in general, I don't really like doing things super in general, because it's hard to apply general concepts like that. And it's hard to explain why these general concepts are used in the first place. So things like MVVM and MVC and Viper, everyone wants to know why these things are useful, but you really have to have like a couple of years of coding experience to even touch upon why things are useful. Okay, so it looks like we have 94 users in the live stream right now. I am gonna go, since we have been doing this for an hour and 5 minutes. Troll Bronze is gonna do my homework now. Suggestion: I think more UI videos and animation are cool because I'm buying the Tinder app due to its unique UI. Yeah, cool. Good feedback. I love doing UI, but yeah, let me know in the chat. Here's one thing that I want to ask you guys to let me know. Should I be building more UI oriented and UI focused tutorials for the YouTube channel or for the website? Or should I focus more on general, well, not general, but things like testing, reactive Swift, MVVM, server-side Swift, Android, websites, Node.js? Should I be focusing more broadly on things that will also affect you? Or should we dive into doing more and more UI? Which after a while, like even I get tired of building out UI. So let me know in the chat, and then that's my last question to you guys. So RX Swift and MVVM. All right, CMX. So GGS, I want to store documents locally without Firestore in your latest course. Yeah, if you go to intermediate training data, the core data course, then you'll see how to construct your core data model architecture layer so that you can save things like images as a binary data column. And you should be able to take care of that using core data. I think that's like less than 20 or something. So Kotlin. So can you do some gaming tutorials? Oh, so gaming is hard, especially for me, since I don't have any professional experience doing gaming. So for me to learn something such as Unity for iOS, I would have to do a lot of research. Okay, so gaming. So you'll have yeah, thanks for being such a good supporter of the channel. That's really been helpful for me to keep doing what I do. GG says thanks, and big thanks for anchoring extensions. It saves a lot of time. Yeah, you know, whenever you want to save time, I recommend building your own extensions. That way, like, obviously it makes it easier for me to teach everyone how to build things, and the less time I focus on writing redundant, boring, tedious code, the better for everyone, I think. Anthony Rosario says, skipping over my table view question, but thanks. Anyways, you've helped me a ton in the iOS garage. Yeah, cool. Just make a character in Blender, import into SpriteKit. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of experience with SpriteKit, actually. So if I ever get into any of this gaming stuff, I'll let you guys know. Something that I've always wanted to learn how to build is like a tower defense game. I'm a big fan of, you know, building a tower and watch it shoot monsters down. So if I can build a game that does that, that'd be interesting. Have I ever used voice over IP? Not inside of my apps. In like other apps, yeah. Like a Skype, right? Sprite Kit or Scene Kit games, not Unity, would be great. Well, everyone seems to build Unity or build games with Unity, so not really sure what else you can do with like Sprite Kit or Scene Kit. I mean, they're still really useful. You wouldn't need Unity for that. Yeah, I love tower defense games too. Yeah. Okay, so here's my game recommendation for people that are looking for a tower defense game. Check out Kingdom Rush or Frontiers, Kingdom Frontiers or Frontier Rush. One of those games. One of the best iOS games ever. Yeah, I think it's called Kingdom Rush. Kingdom Rush Frontiers. And ooh, it looks like they have a new game. Ooh. Kingdom Rush Vengeance is now available. Oh my god. Okay, so here's my plug for one of my favorite video game companies on iOS. It's called ironhidegames.com. Go to that. And they make these tower defense games called Kingdom Rush and Frontiers, and now there's a new one called Vengeance. If you're really interested in playing a tower defense style game that has unique animations, UI, and really good game mechanics, then check out Kingdom Rush. I wish they could like sponsor my stream. That'd be awesome. So let's see. Ultimate tutorials. That's why he ignores. What kind of question is that? Ignores you. What kind of question is that? Is Android or iOS difficult? Is Android or iOS difficult? Yeah, that's a great question, huh? Okay. 12:43 right now. So Kingdom Rush, do you think they use Unity for Kingdom Rush games? I think they probably do. Yeah, I don't really know what their game engines are. But yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I am gonna go have like a little small bite, and then I think I'll record the rest of this Tinder course video. So I am going to say goodbye and bid adieu to all of you guys now. And yeah, I just hope you guys had an enjoyable Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone is fresh after all that food, and get back into programming and learn some more. It's always a great experience trying to pick up things. So I'll see you next stream, maybe in 2 weeks. Bye guys.